Alright, in the last video we just made some simple collisions to kind of talk about the collision system. For now, we're just going to actually click off of this whole thing and we're going to hit this eye next to it so that it's just not there at all. We just don't need it right now to test out bullets or anything like that. So we have it so that the player is facing a certain direction. You would think that we'd be adding another node to the player. At least that's what I would think in order to make a bullet shoot. But instead of that, what we want is we want to have something completely separate that we will be using on here. So we'll add a new child node and we're going to call it an area 2D. This is not inside the physics system at all. It's not a kinematic body, it's not a rigid body, and it is not a static body. It's an area 2D, which functions like triggers do in other game engines, if you know anything about them. Basically what it does is it keeps track of all the things that it overlaps with, but it doesn't create any collisions on its own. So we're going to name this area 2D bullet. And then we're going to right click onto it. We're going to add a child node, and we're going to add a sprite to it again. And we're going to go over to our art, and we're going to drag over laser bolts onto that as the texture. We're going to zoom right in onto this. We're going to look at and see that it's 2 by 2, right? So we're going to go to the animations. We're going to write 2, and you know what? We can just hit this arrow. We're going to see which one we like. I like this one right here, but maybe we'll use that one right there. It really doesn't matter. And then we're going to right click onto bullet again, and we're going to set up a new collision shape on it, because this also needs a collision shape, which is pretty misleading because it doesn't actually collide. It just keeps track of what it overlaps with. But we're going to go ahead and put it on there. We're going to quickly make a new circle shape, 2D. We're going to make it a lot smaller, like so. And then I'm going to just drag it up to be the front area of this bullet, like this. And there you go, we have a new bullet. Now, because we've become wiser, we know that this thing actually needs to face 90 degrees to the right. So we're going to go ahead and look at this transform right here. We're going to click onto it. This is on the sprite. We're going to go to Node 2D, rotation degrees. We're going to write a 90 on there. That'll rotate it, and then we're going to move that collision shape to actually line up with it. We're going to then click this double square thing because we no longer want to just be grabbing and moving things down here inside the screen. And we're going to do something a little bit different. You see, inside of Godot, you can actually set up these sub-items here as their own scenes. And then you can load them in as a scene within your scene. A scene within your scene, which is just basically a collection of nodes anyway. So what this allows for you to do is kind of have this pre-built thing saved as a file in your system. So we're going to right click onto it, save scene as branch, and double click on the scenes folder. We're going to save it as bullet.tscn, which is the type of scene file. We're going to click save, and if you click on the scenes now, you'll see that we actually have a bullet.tscn. You'll also see this little lights, camera, action thingy that directors use. And you can just click on that right there and it'll open up that bullet scene for you, and you can see kind of what I mean here. If I actually just delete this altogether, the node inside of it doesn't matter scene, right? You'll see that it's gone, and then if I right click onto something, I can then instant child scene onto there, which is underneath the add child node, and then we can just go scenes bullet.tscn, and it'll add that bullet right back in for us as if it's its own separate thing. We can no longer manipulate the children nodes on there because it's its own scene, but if we go to the scene or we click that thing next to the bullet, we can actually go over into the bullet scene and manipulate the children once again. I'm going to name the sprite art. I'm going to name the collision shape Coll, C-O-L-L. You can name them whatever you want, but just remember what you do name them. Now we're going to go back into it doesn't matter scene after saving everything. We're going to go back to our player, and we're going to actually make a new variable called bullet, right? We're going to set it equivalent to something called Preload, which is another built-in function inside of here. And if we open up the parentheses, you'll see a bunch of things kind of appear onto this. We'll write in res, double click on there, and we want to actually write in our scenes folder, and then it'll actually show up the bullet.tscn, and you're just going to have it go in there like that. And that alone will give us access to the bullet as a variable itself, that file as a variable, just by loading it in here. We're going to go into our projects. We don't have a fire button yet, so we're going to go to the input map again. We're going to write in I_fire, or underscore shoot. I like shoot better. and we can hit enter or hit add, and then we're going to click the plus button. We're going to go mouse button, and we're going to do the left mouse button, add that into it, and now when we hit the left mouse button, I shoot will now trigger off, and we're going to go below this. We're going to have the tabs taken out. We're going to say if input.is action press I shoot. So first, just to test out that it's working, we're going to say shooting, like so. And then I'm going to hit the play button on here. We're going to face over to a certain direction. And you see that when my mouse button is getting pressed, a ton of shootings are going off, which is not what we want. So we're going to instead do something like this. We're going to go dot is, and then we'll see what other things there are. And you'll see that there's is action just pressed, which means that you just push the mouse button down and it'll only trigger once. Or is action just release, which will trigger when the mouse button is let go of, which is what we're going to be using on this one right here. And then it functions the exact same way from there after that. So if I go back inside the game now and then I face off and then I click, you'll see even if I hold it down, shooting's only going off once. Then once I release, boom, shooting goes off again. Clicked it, nothing happens. I release, shooting goes off, which is a little bit different than what we were doing before. So now that we know that that is working correctly, we can just erase that print. And then we're going to say var b equals bullet dot, and what you want to say is instance, like that. So this will create us that bullet scene that we were talking about earlier. We actually want to erase that node that's inside of this scene right now because we just don't need it inside of here until we spawn it ourselves. We're going to go back into our script. I'm going to extend that out for us. Alright, now the problem here is that even though we create a bullet, and you'll see if I go into here and I push our shooting button on here, despite the fact that it's working, it's no bullets appearing there. And the reason why is because if I go back into the 2D scene view here, and we take a look at this, you'll see that we have this hierarchy here. We need to be adding it to something. Now, something is actually the parent of player, right? So we need to make the bullet, that instance of the bullet, the child of something, right? So we need to make it our brother, so to speak, the child of our parent. So if we go back into the script, we can kind of make this happen. We just simply need to go get parent, which is another one of those built-in functions that are already inside of Godot. Then we're going to go dot, and then we're going to say add child to that, which is another built-in function. So what we're doing is we're getting the parent node of us, the player, and so it's going to get something, and then we're going to add a child to that, making ourselves a new little brother, and we're going to just say B. Now, also, another problem is that even though we added that child onto it, and it will exist at this point, and if I hit save, you'll kind of be able to see it appear, but it won't be in the screen anywhere. And that's because its position is not getting set to be anywhere close to us right now. So we're going to actually say b.position, which is that bullet that we created. We're going to set that equivalent to our position for now, so that we can kind of display how this thing is working out. And then if I click it, you see that those bullets are now appearing in the game like that. And they're just kind of sitting there, but that's what they do, right? And to make things a little bit more apparent here, if I put a hashtag in front of this, this will turn into a comment, meaning something that does not actually get run by the program. And then if I hit play, and then I do the same thing, it won't work because it's not inside of this node at all. It's not a part of something, which is our root node. So even though I'm clicking and the same things are functioning and it should be getting sent to our position, it's just not working in that case. So you need to have it set as a brother node, basically. The bullet does. Okay? So I hope that all makes kind of sense. Now we need to add some functionality to those bullets. One of the things that you notice is it's facing right no matter what. And we can do the same thing here that we did with our rotation earlier. We want to say b.rotation equals dir.angle, because we still have access to it because we're still within the physics process here. And then if we save that and run it again, you'll see that the bullets are now facing along with us, like so. Now, the next problem is that the position's getting set right on top of us, and we don't want it appearing right on top of our ship, right? You know, it'd be stupid to shoot yourself. So we're going to actually add into it dir, once again, which is, if you remember right, it's the smallest possible step of what can happen, and we're going to multiply that dir by a certain number. We're going to just try different numbers here to make it work a little bit better. We'll try dir times like 20 to kind of start off with. I'm not even sure what will work, but and then we'll see where the bullet appears based off that. And you see how it appeared right in front of our ship? That's actually really good. That was just a guess. I had no idea. So right there, that will work out well for us. Now, we're going to want to be using this number over here, and we're going to want to be able to change it just in case. So we're going to make it into a variable as well. You should make it into a constant if you're into programming, but I'm not going to teach you guys that right now. And we're going to call it the offset. And we're going to set that, oh yeah, you know what, we're using Godot, so we got to do it like this. And we're going to set it equivalent to 20, because we know that works now. And we're going to change this to shoot offset, so that we have nice clean code inside of the system. Alright, so that's all the stuff that we need to do for our player to actually have the bullet functioning correctly. Next, we need to actually make it so the bullet moves itself. So if we go back to the bullet scene, and by the way, if you don't know where that is, you can just double click on bullet inside your scenes folder down here. You'll actually go over to this. We want to add a script to our bullet. We're going to erase everything below it, and we're going to simply create a couple new variables inside of here. We're going to create one being its speed again. And you know what? It's time to teach you guys about constants. So if you write in const, C-O-N-S-T like that, you write in speed, all capital letters. It doesn't need to be, like, this is just what people do. It doesn't really matter. And then you're going to simply go and set it equivalent to whatever you want it to be. I'm going to set mine equivalent to 300 to start. And then we're going to go down here. And then we're going to go into, and we're going to do function, and we want it to run inside the physics process just like everything else is running. And then we're going to be moving this. Now the thing is, we're not going to be moving it the same way that we were moving the player, because the player is moving using something that specifically belongs to kinematic body 2D, which is not what the bullet is. We're going to be using translate, which is a completely different thing. And to make this work correctly, we need to actually use this delta. The thing is, this thing has no idea what direction that we're supposed to be going in, so we're going to actually make a variable called dir, and we're going to set that equivalent to vector 2, because we know that we use vector 2s for directions for the most part. And when we are shooting this off, we're going to go back into the player script on here. We're going to set that direction equivalent to our dir. So we're going to say b.dir is equivalent to dir, like that. And that will make it so that we pass in that same direction that we're using for this. And then this thing is going to know what direction to go into, right? And then we're going to simply say translate, and we're going to want to move in the direction, dir, that vector 2. We're going to want to multiply that by the speed. We're going to want to multiply that by delta. Now what delta does is it makes it so that whatever you're moving here takes a full-blown second. It gives you the difference, the amount of time, the decimal portion of a second that the last frame took, and then it keeps on passing it in, so you always make this whole thing take about a second. And it makes things frame rate independent. So if you have a really fast computer and you don't use delta on something that needs delta passed into it, one computer might run it really fast and another computer might not. But move and slide automatically has delta built into it, which is why we didn't use it over there. So if I hit the play button now, and you'll see the bullets are now shooting off like crazy and working how we want them to work, which is awesome. So we've done it now, and now there's a couple problems with that, like the bullets don't just go on forever, and we can just spawn an infinite amount of them, and they just keep on traveling forever, going forever distances, which is not good. So we'll be fixing that inside the next video, but I think this one's gone on long enough. Anyways, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. You know the drill. Have a great day, guys. Bye.